Hallo und willkommen. Ich bin Meister Lenseer and you're watching Get Germanized. And you think you got me all figured out, don't you?
I am bored. What should I do?
Ich weiß.
Get Germanized.
Well, today we're going to put that to the test. Your assumptions versus reality, or the perceived reality of myself, I suppose, that I live in. Because, well, I asked you to make an assumption about me on Instagram, on Twitter, and different social media in general, and you followed my call. You made assumptions, and today we're going to see if they are correct or very far from reality. First up, an assumption by verisimilitude. Not German. Smiley face with tears and clown face. Yeah, I hear that every now and then because I don't look stereotypically German, but many Germans don't. I don't think actually the majority of Germans that live in Germany, in Deutschland these days, does look what many associate with Germans. Blue eyes, bleached blonde hair. I believe you're thinking of the Swedish people. And maybe that is even a stereotype these days. But the world is changing. You cannot apply your old-fashioned and ancient stereotypes to the entire world and hold on to them in a struggle to, I don't know, retain your reality. The world has changed. People look different. And maybe the stereotype wasn't even true to begin with. Probably wasn't. Next up, an assumption by Kate Pliskova, I think. Kate Pliskova, something like that. And she said, I think you might be a little lonely sometimes. Well, I mean, it is true that I would rather work in a team than all by myself all the time. That's why I like collaborations with other YouTubers as well. Because just doing this by myself can get a little bit lonely sometimes, yes. But I have amazing friends who I can see and visit whenever I feel that way. And they help me out just by being there for me. And that is amazing. So I'm not really lonely, but I mean, it can feel like it sometimes, especially during the week when all my friends are obviously working as well. And then in the evenings, I'm like, what now? But that's what online friends are for in video games and all of that good stuff. So I'm not really lonely, but it sometimes feels like I am, but not really, if you understand what I mean. Next up, an assumption by Merta Duck. Awesome, and I'm not wrong. Well, that is very kind of you, thank you. I'm trying my best to be awesome as often as I can. I don't always succeed, I have my flaws like every other person, but I don't think you would even see that on camera most of the time when I have a bad day. I tend not to film anything because I don't want you guys to watch the video and bring you down. I mean, sometimes I talk about serious topics when it's necessary or when I feel like it's necessary. But all in all, I try to keep it happy and awesome on this channel. Next up, an assumption by A.G. Eslev or Agslev. Sometimes you're a pessimist, but most of the time you put a smile on and keep going. Yeah, I mean, what else can you do, right? I mean, I don't think I'm a pessimist necessarily. I just made bad experiences in my life, a few, but I made so many good ones as well. So I definitely had to fight through this mindset of not everything is bad. Yes, I had to do that. But I mean, nowadays, I don't think I'm a pessimist. I'm a realist. You can't just go into the world being all naive and think everyone will treat you right no matter what, as long as you treat them right, because that is not the case. That doesn't always happen. And as long as you keep that in mind, as long as you're prepared for that, you won't get hurt and you can live as optimistically as humanly possible, I think. I mean, I still try to do that. I approach every new person with friendliness, as long as they're friendly to me. And if they're not, then F them, right? Next up, an assumption by the same person. You want to find true love, but you're scared they will keep hurting you. It's getting deep today, damn. Well, that was definitely the case for a long while, for a couple of years for sure. Because like I said, I made some bad experiences, but I mean, that can't define you as a person, and it shouldn't. You can't help but to kind of let it define you for a while, because that's a grieving process, right? especially if it was kind of traumatizing, then it's just normal. But you will get out of there, I have, and then life will just continue like it always has. And well, about true love, I definitely wouldn't complain if I had a relationship with someone special, I won't lie, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Until then, I'm just gonna live my life as a whole 100% fulfilled human being, because you guys give me this fulfillment, my job does, and that's all I need for now. And if someone else wants to share this life with me, fine. Next up, an assumption by Hello Stoev. A little spoiled maybe and kinda otaku. Do you love anime, manga and OVAs? Spoiled, well, it always depends on your standpoint, right? How you have been brought up, what you have been offered in life, what kind of privileges you had in life, or if you had it really hard as a kid, if you maybe had to work very early on. And a person like that, of course, would think I'm spoiled. I went to school normally, I didn't have to work during my childhood. I had support money from the government during my studies, so I didn't have to have a side job then. And yeah, that probably is a bit spoiled, to be honest. And I have a job that fulfills me, that really lets me be free and that is fun. And not many people can say that either, so I suppose to an outsider that might seem spoiled, I'm not sure. I had it good in life. I had some really difficult times as well, don't get me wrong. But mostly I would say it's been positive, especially if you compare it to, well, I don't want to name drop any countries or any ethnic people here, but some people in the world definitely have it a lot harder than we here in Germany do. And even Germans here in Germany. I think as long as you're aware that you have it pretty good, and as long as you appreciate that, there's not much else you can do. I always try to help people in need. When I get questions from you guys, I answer as many as I can. I can't answer all of them because I get a lot of questions from you, but I do try to help you. That's why I'm also making these videos where I interact with you guys directly, or more directly at least, to answer your questions and to help you out as much as I possibly can. And regarding the otaku fact, yeah, I guess. I love anime, I love manga, but I don't really read a lot of manga, to be honest. I've only read a couple of One Piece manga, and that's about it. But I definitely do watch a lot of anime. Not as much as I would like to, due to time issues, of course. Work takes up a lot of time, editing and all of that. But yeah, I watch as much as I can, and in my last Q&A video actually here on my channel, I listed all the anime that I love. So if you're interested in finding out, go ahead. Next up, an assumption by a Tonal Heart 22. You're shy in person with someone attractive, at least. Well, I mean, of course, if you are attracted to someone, you are prone to being more shy. At least that's the case for me. If I'm really into a person, I get more shy, yes. And if I'm not, I don't really have to care. So I'm not as shy, if that makes sense. So you're not wrong, I suppose. And I can be a little bit shy, yes, especially since I don't really know how to approach, for example, people that work in the same field as me. I don't know, I never know what words to choose when I message them, or when I approach them in real life, for example. I don't know why that is, to be honest. I really don't. But I have a hard time connecting with people that do the same thing, which is weird. Not always, to be honest. But if I look up to someone, for example, if they are a YouTuber or a creative person that I have watched from afar for quite a while, then I get really nervous and I don't know what to say. And I might come across as entitled or just rude maybe a little bit, because I'm pretty direct when I approach those people, because I'm thinking, yeah, you better just come straight to the point, right? So I don't want to waste their time. They must know exactly what I want right away. And maybe that's a little bit weird to some people, I don't know. Yeah, so I am a bit shy and weird sometimes when it comes to approaching new people, but not always. Not always. Next up, an assumption by Pablo Escobar. Okay, there. You are a morning person. No. This could not be further from the truth. I am definitely not a morning person. I have a really messed up biorhythm at the moment. I really try my hardest to go to bed early-ish, before midnight that is, and then don't sleep until 10 or something like that, right, in the morning. But if you don't have someone else needing you to be somewhere at a certain time, because I work for myself, I'm self-employed, right? So I get up when I get up and I work when I work, and that just makes the biorhythm go later and later and later. So I stay up later, I edit, I have free time activities later because I chose to work a little bit longer that day maybe, or it just happened. And then I go to bed later and I get up later, and that just switches. And I really try not to do that, but it just happens every now and then again. At the moment, like I said, it's pretty messed up. I'm falling asleep at like 3 a.m. or something like that. I'm sleeping until 10 a.m. Not ideal. I mean, I get the same amount of work done as usual because I just work at different times than as normal people, I suppose. But it annoys me a little bit because the sun is up not so very long in winter here in Germany at the moment, and I don't get a lot of sunshine if I live that way. So yeah, no, not a morning person at all. Even if I have a normal schedule, a normal rhythm, I don't love getting up early, to be quite honest. An assumption made by Eileni. You'll not come to Munich because I commented here. What? That doesn't make any sense. Why would I not come to Munich just because you commented on Instagram? What? No, I like Munich. It's just super expensive, so I wouldn't live there. I don't like wasting my money, to be honest, just for rent in an expensive city. I would rather invest that in technology or in travel in general and seeing other places. So I don't understand what you mean. Maybe you meant something completely different. I would definitely return to Munich at some point. The Oktoberfest, for example. Friends of mine go there still every year in a travel group, so I might join them again at some point. And just in general, visiting again would be nice. Next up, an assumption made by KDave01. I thought you were like those stereotypical Germans, where they are mean and talk mean. Grutzen, Grauben, Schnutzen, Strutzen. No. Usually I try to be friendly. Like I said, when others approach me with a friendly attitude, I am kind to them, as long as they are kind to me. And Germans, like I mentioned before in many other videos actually, are just not the type that smiles when there's no reason. But we're quick to smile if you give us a reason, but if not, then why smile? Just that, because that seems fake and phony to us. If you just smile for, I don't know why actually. So that's why some Germans come off as rude or as unfriendly or cold. Because if you come from a country where smiling is just a must-do for whatever reason, then of course it will seem weird. Next up, an assumption by Soul Granola. You love Monty Python. Yes. Yes, I do. I haven't really watched any Monty Python movies recently, but I've seen most of them, I think. At least the well-known ones, like the Holy Grail. We call it Die Ritter der Kokosnuss in German, actually, the Knights of the Coconut, because they make these clopping noises, right? These hoof noises with the coconuts and all of that. Or that one where the fat guy in the restaurant ate like a tiny little thing more, and then he, well, you know the movie probably if you like Monty Python. All of those are classics here in Germany as well, and yeah, I love them. Next up, an assumption made by Mike or Joshua. When showering, you bring in a pint of beer with you for company. Well, I don't, but that is a good idea. I should start doing that actually. Next up, an assumption by Banu on break. You have never been late to any meetings or gatherings. Well, I wish I could say that, but I definitely have been late multiple times on multiple occasions. We Germans strive for perfection. If we achieve it or not is a different matter. So yeah, I mean, that's a stereotype that all Germans are always on time. But we are not. We appreciate it if people are on time, and we try to be on time ourselves. But if you don't manage, well, you don't manage. Next up, an assumption by La Sirena Pirata. I think that's how you say it. You are a collector. It's hard for you to get rid of stuff. Kind of. If I think it makes a good decorative item, like little figurines of video games or anime characters and stuff like that, I love. I'm a nerd, so that's why I have that kind of stuff in my apartment, actually. But I try to declutter every few years, like I throw out all my old clothing for the Red Cross and stuff like that, or I just get rid of stuff I really don't need anymore. But all in all, yeah, I don't like throwing away stuff necessarily, but I don't let it become a problem like some people do. Next up, an assumption by Mel Vega 1971. You're shy but sweet. You believe in soulmates. You listen to classic rock/metal. Many assumptions in one statement. I am shy. Yes, a little bit. Not always. Depends on who I'm talking to, or we went through this already. But sweet, well, again, I try to be. If I can. I really try most of the time. You believe in soulmates? Not so much. I don't think, at least. I would like to. So far I haven't been lucky with that kind of stuff, so made it hard for me to believe in that. But I mean, I would like there to be a soulmate for me. I'm just not sure how likely it is that I meet them, because the world is a big place. And you listen to classic rock and metal is very true. More to metal and newer rock though. Classic rock every now and then, like Led Zeppelin and stuff like that, I like it, but that is not something I listen to all the time. But alternative music is definitely way up there on my list. Next up, an assumption made by Noma Singh. You feel it's not safe to drive in India. Well, from what I heard, it doesn't sound very safe, where there's not many clear traffic rules and people just beep their horns like all the time to make themselves heard, so that the other people don't just cross the street and get run over. And that it's very loud and noisy, and that just doesn't scream safety for me. But maybe that's a wrong stereotype, I'm not sure. Mind in Repose says that you went to an international school growing up. No, I've never been to an international school. I studied English in high school, or first on the Realschule and then later at the Gymnasium. I lived for a year in Australia, but my English was quite decent before that, because English was always kind of the gateway for me, the gateway to the world, or to things that I was interested in, like anime or movies that were only out in English at the time. And so, yeah, I studied it privately and put time into it because I was passionate about the things that it enabled me to do, basically, and that has helped me a great deal with becoming better at it. Definitely, I mean, my time abroad has for sure helped me as well, but all in all, I think more the thing that helped me the most was YouTube and the time that I just put into learning it. The same person said that you prefer to date an English-speaking girl. Not true necessarily. So far I have made good and bad experiences with English speakers or German speakers. Like, not everyone is perfect. It doesn't depend on what language you speak. Of course, I would only date a girl that speaks a language that I understand, so either English or German. Anything else would be too complicated. I have been through the rough years of language barriers and cultural differences in a relationship already. When I started out learning English, I dated an American girl, and I got so frustrated and angry sometimes because I couldn't make myself understood, and I think she felt the same about it. And so dating someone that doesn't speak your language is a very hard task to master. So I don't have a preference necessarily. I have a preference maybe in people. I prefer nerdy alternative people a little bit when it comes to dating. Tattoos are always a good thing to have. Not a must though, just your personality must attract me, so to speak. It doesn't matter what language you speak or necessarily what you look like either. It's like I always say, I don't have a real type of girl that I'm into. It just needs to be the right girl. Next up, an assumption made by Landmarks by You love your freedom over all other things. Not over all other things, but it's definitely very important to me. That's why I do this job for a living. I am a YouTuber for a living because it gives me so much freedom. I tried to do an apprenticeship back in the day. The company went bankrupt after 10 months, but to be honest, that was the best thing that could have happened to me because that made me decide to go to university and study. And that led to me realizing that I could do this as a full-time job, what was always my passion. And yeah, I don't regret anything. I don't have any regrets in that regard. And freedom is just very important to me, yes. But I mean, I don't value it over family or friendship or anything like that. I mean, it's very high up, almost on the same level, I would say, though. Next up, an assumption by NJ Carolina 12. You love Chinese food. Yeah, I mean, the Chinese food that is available to me, at least. Not necessarily the chicken feet kind, more the fried Chinese noodles kind and the westernized Chinese food. Yes, that I love. And I'm aware you don't only eat chicken feet, it's just one of the things that I saw once that Chinese people eat. And that is definitely not something I would like, I don't think. Beaverwig says, you are an open-minded person. Again, I try to be. I don't like, I don't know, people who have really extreme opinions and are very stuck in their ways that can never be, I don't know how to express that, they can never be made to change their opinion at all, even if presented with reason and facts and all of that kind of stuff. I keep an open mind to all things, and when I'm wrong, I like to think that I admit that I was wrong. Wrong, of course, is a relative thing. I mean, unless you base everything on real facts and can prove that someone was wrong, wrong can be a very relative thing, right? Some people might think that a certain opinion is wrong, but don't base this opinion on facts or their own opinion or their thought process. And that doesn't necessarily make it true, right? But yeah, I would say I'm an open-minded person for sure. My Chemical, I think Romance, it says, can't read the full name here, says you are very organized and rational. I try to be. Doesn't always work out that way, of course, but mostly, yes. I would like to think so. Rational, I mean, I can be very emotional sometimes as well, especially when it comes to certain topics, and then my rationality goes out of the window, but for the most part, I would say yes. But again, that is just my personal perception of myself, right? Maybe an outsider would think, what, rational, that dude? He wishes. So, Lagwili, I don't know how to say this name, I'm sorry, says, in the series Supernatural, you would feel more similar to Castiel, so the angel character. Well, I don't want to compare myself to an angel, definitely no angel, but to the character, I know what you mean. For those who don't know the series, Castiel is very, well, how to describe Castiel? Actually, I've never thought about this. Very calm, very naive at first, but then kind of realizes that the world is can be a dangerous and dark place. I mean, he is an angel, he always sees the good in people, and still tries to, I think at least, but he's definitely become a bit more ruthless, a bit more cutthroat, because he's experienced some very dark shit. So in that regard, yeah, I guess I'm similar to Castiel in that regard, because I started out very naive and very like, oh, everyone's my friend, everyone wants to hang out with me and have fun and stuff like that, and just be nice to each other, and that is definitely not the world we live in, and I haven't thought that way for a long time. So yeah, in that regard, I guess I'm kind of similar to him. Santiago Andre, there's a longer name, but I can't read the whole name, says, you have the very wrong idea that South America, especially Colombia, is a dangerous place to visit. Is it the wrong assumption? I always heard you can get kidnapped and there's muggers everywhere, and I don't know, maybe that's wrong, I'm not sure. Like I said, I keep an open mind, so if someone presents me with different facts or different experiences, and if a lot of people do that, if it becomes scientific, then sure, why not? But so far I've only heard that it is dangerous, so change my mind. Only Narda says, you're a softie with some precarious tendencies, but you seem to put up a protective or defensive wall to protect your vulnerability. I mean, don't we all in a way? We all kind of want to hide what can hurt us from other people, right? We never like to fully expose our or soft underbelly, so to speak, to the world, because that is dangerous. That can be dangerous. I think I'm a bit of a softie, yeah? At least I started out like one, like I said. Definitely not as naive anymore, but yeah, I'm still pretty emotional when it comes to certain things, like I said before. Homicidal Duck says, I assume that you really like potatoes. Who doesn't? Who doesn't like potatoes? Doreen says, I would assume that you would make a very good German teacher, even though you prefer to work in the video game or film industry. I get the impression that you have the patience to work with people that often get articles wrong, like me. I don't care if someone gets the article wrong, but as far as patience goes, I'm not the most patient man in the universe, to be honest. I might appear that way on video because you don't see when I get frustrated, when I get stuff wrong, when I have to refilm stuff. It doesn't often happen anymore because, I mean, after so many years of filming stuff, you just get to a level of professionality that lets you avoid making obvious mistakes. I don't know, it's just a routine at some point. But I'm not patient when it comes to all things, definitely not. And to be honest, I prefer doing this behind, or in front of the camera, sorry, and not necessarily in front of a crowd of people. Because I still get very nervous in front of, like, speaking in front of crowds. It's just, I don't know, it's not my personality. I don't like to put myself in the center of attraction necessarily, as weird as that sounds for a YouTuber to say. But I mean, that's why I am doing this kind of work and not out in public all the time. But I don't mind the company of people, definitely not. I love it. I'm a very social person usually, but I don't feel like I am super important and want to put myself out there in the center of attraction necessarily either. Next up, an assumption by Kakalakak Steindrüber. Okay. You prefer foreign company. I don't prefer foreign company necessarily. I just have a lot of foreign friends due to my job here on YouTube. Just happened, kind of. And I was always interested in different cultures too. But I have a lot of German friends too. And well, I don't really care where you come from. And last but not least, this has been a long video. A lot of assumptions have been made. Thank you so much for that, by the way. An assumption by Charmaine Pointer. This is tough. You come off as a very earnest and reasonable person. I bet you have a dark side. Bondage, anger, girl clothing, something, lol. I'm kidding. You're very cool. Thanks for involving your viewers. Well, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, and apart from that, no, wait. Yeah, I mean, a dark side, everyone has one. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I mean, we always have an outlet, right? All of us do. And mine is just no different probably from many other people's outlets. I mean, people play video games, people do sports. I do one of those things too. And apart from that, check out my social media in the video description, like Instagram, for example, where I collected all these assumptions, or Twitter, or Facebook, or Snapchat. Got all of it linked in the video description. Got a Patreon page if you want to support this channel. I got a PayPal donation page if you want to support this channel. I get merch. I got a lot. So check that out in the video description. And apart from that, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to get Germanized. Goodbye and auf Wiedersehen. And for all of those who have watched until the very end, here's a very special treat. My good friend Christie Reeves from England, crazy talented vocalist, has, well, published many cool songs, and here is one of them. It's called Saltwater, and I thought I'd, well, give her a little shout out and also show you some of my new drone footage. Win-win. Let's go.
My eyes are brimming up with salty water and life. In the early winter morning, the only light was the reflection of stars on the tears, purging away all my life's fears. Wash them away, wash them away. wash away the dirt and doubt, clearing my thoughts for my way out. A song of hopeful birds is all I hear now, and I know I'll be home soon. It was a long drive. Finally, my eyes are brimming up with salty water and life. In the early winter morning, the only light was the reflection of stars on the tears, purging away all my life's fears. Wash them away, wash them away. Every time I try to let go, my thoughts went around.